Welcome to Stokastic's MLB Live Before Lock. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I'm here with Adam Ship My Money Scherer. You can find him on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And this show is sponsored by Sorare MLB. Great new product, great new way to play DFS. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, while you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Adam, what is your opinion on charcuterie boards?
Yeah, I kind of agreed with your take. Don't know that I've ever actually ordered one, and I do think that I like the individual pieces, but it's just like I never actually want to order it.
It's like you disassembled a sandwich and gave me like parts of it, but you don't get the bread, you don't get the sauce. It's just kind of dry. Like I like cheese, I like meats, but that charcuterie board, it's like not my favorite meats. I don't know what it is exactly. Hard to explain, but every time I've gotten a charcuterie board, I've been disappointed. People get so excited about them, and I always think one of these days I'm going to start, enjoying charcuterie boards, and just not the case.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually ordered one. It's always like I'll see it on a menu and I'm like, oh, that sounds good, and then I'll see something else and be like, yeah, that sounds a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like if I have my choice of wings or a charcuterie board,
Right.
give me wings every time.
Right.
All right. Well, we do have, what do we have? An 12 game slate here, and it does start in an hour. 10 game slate. Okay, just 10 games, but it does start at 1:10 Eastern. So we will jump right into it. Before we go game by game, did you want to give any thoughts on the slate as a whole, or should we just start going game by game?
No, I mean, I think we can go game by game. I do think today's fun just because you have multiple slates, especially now that I play cash games. I really appreciate that because it's just more opportunities to get money down. But yeah, day baseball is fun. We have cores, but not quite as much a priority. Still, obviously, a really good spot, but only an 11-run total there this time. So yeah, it should be a fun slate.
And as far as I can tell, no real weather issues. Looks like Coors might be the biggest potential weather concern, but not even that big of a concern. So that's nice for have a day slate with no true weather concerns. Yeah. All right, first game on the slate, we have the Cleveland Guardians at the Detroit Tigers. We have Cal Quantrill on the mound for the Guardians, Spencer Turnbull for the Tigers. Adam, what's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Modest interest, I guess, in Cal Quantrill just because he is facing the Tigers. He's pulling 8.5% ownership on DraftKings, 8% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Nothing too crazy there. Pitching at the top today isn't the best. You have Max Scherzer. He's facing the Dodgers. Then you have a bunch of guys that are good, but not legit aces. So that does bring guys like Quantrill into play a little bit more given the matchup with the Tigers, but still nobody you're getting overly excited to get to. Since the start of last season, just a 16% strikeout percentage, 4.5 xFIP, about a home run per 9. If you're rostering him here, it is solely because he's facing one of the weaker offenses in baseball.
Yep. And speaking of that weak offense, any interest in either of these stacks today?
Some interest in Cleveland. Just, Turnbull has been pretty good in the past at limiting power, but doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. Cleveland is a difficult team to strike out. There is some left-handed power in this lineup that you can get to. So I do have some interest in getting to Cleveland, trying to get the top stacks tool put up now. I accidentally had the top pitchers tool twice, but the Guardians are always somewhat interesting to me. Right now, they're coming in with the 7th highest top stack percentage, about 5%, 4% projected ownership. So going a little bit under-owned, not a priority, but a team that I don't mind getting to. You have, Jose Ramirez obviously is always one of the top third base options, barring extremely bad matchups, which he does not have today. Jimenez is hitting second. That's pretty appealing. Josh Bell's reasonably priced. Will Brennan's hitting 6th at a cheap price tag. So it's a somewhat interesting team to get to, I think.
And any interest in Detroit?
No, not particularly. Riley Green, Terry Carpenter individually, I think, are fine. If you wanted to go to a Akil Baddoo, you can get some cheap power hitting lefties that actually have power with Green, Carpenter, Baddoo against a pitcher that doesn't miss a lot of bats in Quantrill. But this park, as we just were reminded the other day by Aha Bros ChatGPT, left-handed power dies in this park. Right-handed power is pretty good. So not the most appealing spot here.
Okay. And then how would you rank the four sides of this game?
I think Quantrill and Cleveland bats are very close. And then I think Tigers are 3 and Turnbull's 4.
Okay. Moving on to the second game of the 10-game slate, we've got the Giants at the Marlins. We have Alex Cobb on the mound for the Giants, Trevor Rogers for the Marlins. What is your level of interest in these pitchers?
Yeah, 2 solid pitchers here, and these are both guys that just play up on this slate because of not having a Spencer Strider or a Jacob deGrom type guy at the top. Trevor Rogers, 8,500 on DraftKings, 9,100 on FanDuel. Just looks pretty good. He's the highest owned pitcher on DraftKings at 36%. He is projected to go a bit over-owned, only an 18% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, but also a 12.5% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher on DraftKings. Just, a solid left-handed pitcher, good park to pitch in. Since the start of last year, a 22.5% strikeout percentage, 4.1 xFIP. Not the kind of guy that you would expect to be rostering a ton on a lot of slates, but on this one, certainly looks good. Alex Cobb is a good pitcher. He's dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career, but put things back together last year. 23.8% strikeout percentage, sub 3 xFIP. He's also not very expensive at 7,700 on DraftKings. 25% ownership, 13% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. So getting to either one of these guys looks fine to me.
Okay, and then bats on the other side of it. What's your level of interest in either of these teams?
Not much. Tough park to hit in. 2 relatively good pitchers. Looking at Trevor Rogers, you do have pretty drastic splits between righties and lefties. 187 expected ISO, 210 actual ISO to right-handed hitters since the start of last year with just a 20% strikeout percentage compared to 29% strikeout percentage against lefties with a sub 100 expected ISO. So if you wanted to target some right-handed power here, that's pretty much the entire Giants lineup, or at least right-handed bats, not necessarily power. But JD Davis, Wilmer Flores, Estrada, Ruff, like you can go to any of these guys. Joey Bart's a cheap catcher option. Still don't like the park. Still only have a 3.8 implied run total here, but he does at least have some issues there. As far as Cobb goes, he is much more difficult to find anything against. 104 expected ISO to righties, 107 to lefties. You can always make a case for getting to Jazz Chisholm, but I think that if I had to go to a side, it would be right-handed bats from the Giants, but mostly just pitching here for me.
Okay, and then how would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Rogers, Cobb, Giants, Marlins.
Okay. We get Terry Florida Boy says, I love Adam and Neil. They give you the meat and no fat. Jake Swell says, but what if you like the fat? Yeah, I want to get into your favorite bad TV shows that are your favorites. But we do have, this is live before lock, so I feel like we got to save that conversation for tomorrow. You guys did it with movies on the NBA deeper dive the other day, and I super wanted to get into the conversation, but probably not on a live before lock when we got 10 games to cover over the next hour.
Yeah, give me time to think about it's good too. It's a really hard topic for me because I'm very easily entertained. And
me too.
So like, and also like, I don't watch things that I don't expect to enjoy. So like,
right.
For the most
part, probably
going
to.
There's not a lot of stuff that like I've watched and been like, oh, I think this is bad, but I enjoy it or whatever. And also I'm just a bad gauge of what is bad because I'm so easily entertained.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. I like TV shows. I like movies. Yeah. I gave the example of How I Met Your Mother as a TV show that I watched the entire run. Like I watched it thinking this is not very good. Like the writing's not great. The acting's fine, but I enjoyed myself watching it. So I watched the whole thing, even understanding that it's not a great TV show, but I'm sure I have a million examples.
Right. When I saw your tweet, my immediate thought was like, How I Met Your Mother is bad. And then I was like, well, I guess like it kind of is, but like I thoroughly enjoyed watching it when I watched it.
Exactly. I did too. All right. Yeah. We'll Adam will think about it. We'll get into it a little bit more tomorrow, but we got to cut out the fat when we do have a 10-game slate to cover in an hour when it's coming up. All right. Diamondbacks at Cardinals. We've got Madison Bumgarner on the mound for the D-backs, Jake Woodford for the Cardinals. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Basically no interest in Jake Woodford and not much interest in Madison Bumgarner either. I do know I'm getting to a lot of Cardinals bats in cash on FanDuel. I haven't had a chance to build my DraftKings lineups yet, but I expect I'll be getting there as well. Bumgarner is just washed at this point, and I really enjoy taking bats against him. Since the start of last year, 228 expected ISO to righties, just a 16% strikeout percentage. Gives up some power to lefties too, 170 expected ISO. As far as Woodford goes, does a decent job limiting power, 179 expected ISO to righties, sub 100 to lefties. Limited sample there. Doesn't miss a lot of bats. Low teens strikeout percentage to both sides of the plate. So not really any interest in pitching at all because Bumgarner just flat out sucks and Woodford doesn't get enough strikeouts.
Okay. And then, so you want to be targeting against I thought Bumgarner was for years that one of those guys who like the peripherals didn't really support him, but he for some reason continued to be pretty good. Like you couldn't really target bats against him. Is that finally, maybe that was never true, but is that no longer true?
If I remember correctly, his underlying numbers kind of hinted that he was going to be bad very soon before he actually got bad.
Okay.
He now has just gotten bad.
Well, that's good to hear. So, so tell me about your level of interest in the bats in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Cardinals here. 6.2 implied run total, 80 degrees in St. Louis. Fully right-handed lineup. That does mean you have some pinch hit risk, at the bottom. For example, Taylor Motter probably doesn't finish this game, but Edman, Carlson, Goldschmidt, Arenado, Contreras, O'Neill, Jordan Walker, 1 through 7. That is a very, very appealing set of guys to get to against a pitcher that cannot strike out righties and gives up a ton of power to them. 368 expected WOBA to righties since last year as well. 8.5% swinging strike percentage, 90 mile per hour average exit velocity. Like somebody asked yesterday, like, what stats do you look to when you're trying to decide what pitchers to target against? Just pick a stat out of a hat, and Madison Bumgarner is going to be bad at it. So, really, really like the Cardinals here. Not as interested in the Diamondbacks. I think you can still get to guys like Rojas, Marte, Corbin Carroll batting third is really nice. Walker, Gurriel, all those guys are good. Woodford, again, not as bad a pitcher as Bumgarner. He's not a good DFS pitcher, but he does do a better, a decent job of limiting power. So I like the Diamondbacks. I love the Cardinals. Any
concerns about the 16% ownership we have going to the Cardinals?
So unless I guess I need to refresh. So I actually see 18%, and yes.
Or maybe I need to refresh.
But either way, there's concern. They're projected to be the highest owned team on DraftKings, basically tied with the Pirates and Coors. So it's just a spot where you need to be aware of what you're doing with the rest of your lineup. They are projected to go a bit over-owned, 11% top stack percentage. Interested to see, I'm looking now to see what they're showing up as on FanDuel, because I do know that they're extremely easy to get to there. 20% ownership on FanDuel, 12% chance of being the top stack. So pretty similar to DraftKings, where they are going over-owned. You can find ways around that. I want to see also what individual hitter ownership looks like, because we've talked about it before. Sometimes aggregate ownership can be a little bit misleading if you just have like two guys that are pulling a ton of ownership and then nobody else is. Looking at the Cardinals on DraftKings right now, you have double-digit ownership coming to Edman, Contreras, Goldschmidt, Carlson, O'Neill, and Arenado. Walker's at 9%, Motter's at 8%, Kisner's at 6%. So across the board, this team is pretty popular. I think it's a team where you certainly can full stack them if you can just find contrarian secondary stacks or contrarian pitching. But also it's, another team like we were talking about with Coors yesterday, where you can use 2-mans, 3-mans and hope that, maybe Bumgarner is somewhat competent, but still gives up like 3 home runs and they happen to be your guys or something.
And we saw that yesterday with Jake Sawinski. So we talked about in that Coors game specifically, and I had some lineups that were pretty competitive that had like just Jake Sawinski as a one-off. So was good to see that paying off right after we talked about it.
Yeah, and a good point from Stephen Leibowitz too. If the Cardinals are just lighting up Mad Bum and this is like a 10-run game, they probably don't bother pinch hitting anyway. Except for then you get into they just pinch it for everybody. But
we also had K Sizzle asked if you were playing single entry, who would you stack St. Louis? Do you think they would be your first stack to go to in a single entry?
They'd be up there. The ownership would end up possibly being an issue.
Yeah.
Between you have Pittsburgh and St. Louis that are both going to be pretty appealing. I think the way ownership looks right now, the Rockies on DraftKings might actually be where I'd go. Like their ownership is in line with their top stack percentage, whereas the Cardinals and the Pirates are both going a bit over-owned. So yeah, I actually kind of like the Rockies the way things look right now.
Okay. Rockies number 1. Okay. From this Arizona St. Louis game, how would you rank the 4 sides of it?
Cardinals bats number 1, D-backs bats number 2, Woodford number 3, I guess, and then Bumgarner.
Okay.
He's going to throw a no-hitter today.
Bumgarner? Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
There's no way around it.
Vintage Bumgarner today. Yeah. All right, Adam, you've got a minute to work on your lineups, because I'm going to tell everybody about our sponsor, Sorare MLB. It is a game where you can buy cards that you then use in contests, similar to DraftKings Rainmakers. You've seen similar types of structures like this, but it's a very cool concept. These cards are collectibles that you can also use in contests. The contest being single entry is pretty appealing, I think, to a lot of people. I actually kind of enjoy it. As somebody who does MLB DFS, I enjoy the difference in playing some single entries and just tracking that one team all week. It is a lot of fun. And of course, we are being an authorized partner of Sorare. We do have a great deal for new users. If you use the link in the description of this video, make 5 card purchases on the primary market on Sorare, you will get a 6th card for free. That 6th card will be a limited card numbered to 5,000, and it could be any player. It's completely random who you get there. So you can get a Mike Trout, you can get a Shohei Ohtani, you can get stars here. So it's a really, really cool, really fun way to pick up a new card that could be a great card. So highly recommend using the link in the description when you sign up for Sorare. Buy 5 cards on the marketplace. I love playing the limited contests. You could, if you have the money to do it. I'm sure the rare contests are a lot of fun as well. I'm starting with limited. Probably during this MLB season, I'll work my way up to rare because you can win rare cards in these competitions. So that's probably the way that I'm going to start playing the rare competitions as well. But also in MLB for Sorare, they have added, and actually NBA playoffs as well. But during most of the year during the NBA, all you could win in the limited contest was other cards that you could play in other contests. Now they've actually added ETH prizes as well. So that's real money prizes, really fun competition, and really not much cost to enter. So highly recommend Sorare MLB. Check it out. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I've been playing these every week, so I am pretty in the know about how Sorare works. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Twitter. I'll answer any questions you have. All right, Adam, we will move on to the next game on the slate, which is, of course, Texas at Kansas City. We've got Martin Perez on the mound for Texas, Brady Singer for Kansas City. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Not much. I'm a little surprised that Texas is projecting as well as they are because, we talked about it before. I think Brady Singer is a pretty good pitcher. So I don't mind getting to Singer here. He is pulling 22% ownership. He's only 7,100, so that's a pretty appealing price tag. 9% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 13% chance of being a top 2 value on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I wouldn't expect to get them as much since you only need one pitcher. He is 7,300 there, pulling 9% ownership. So clearly going to be a better play on DraftKings. And it's not a safe spot. Texas, we know, does have plenty of power in their lineup, but no Corey Seager. You have Travis Jankowski hitting second. I think he homered yesterday, which is absurd. And I don't know how this guy's hitting second in the major leagues, but certainly a strong downgrade from Corey Seager in that spot. Kansas City's not a great park for hitting. So yeah, again, just kind of surprised at how high the total is here. But at this price tag, I don't mind taking some shots on Singer as an SP2 on DraftKings. 24% strikeout percentage since last year, 3.3 xFIP. He is a good pitcher. And, obviously there's some risk here, but not a lot of great pitching on the slate. The salaries do mitigate it a bit. I think it's more difficult to make a case for Perez. He's pulling about 9% ownership on DraftKings. Just not as strong a strikeout pitcher, 20.8% strikeout percentage, 3.82 xFIP. Good at keeping the ball on the ground, but between the two, I would rather get the Singer.
All right, so you're falling for the Kansas City pitcher again.
Yeah, we're back to that. Bubic got hurt, so at least I don't have to worry about that one for a while.
Oh, that is nice. That is nice for you. Maybe they brought in a good pitcher that you can play every day.
Yeah, I don't know if they have those.
Yeah, that's true. All right, what about the bats in this game? What's your level of interest in Rangers, Royals? Pick a side.
Yeah, so I said I was a little surprised at how well Texas is projecting. We have them as the 4th highest top stack percentage, going slightly under owned, 7% top stack percentage, 6% ownership. And to clarify that, I guess I don't mean it like I disagree with the projection. I'm surprised at the implied run total. I'm surprised, my just initial take when I saw how well, how high the implied run total is, how well Texas projects against Singer in general was just surprise. But yeah, it all gets backed up. My initial guess should never outweigh, or my initial feelings or thoughts should never outweigh all of the data that is behind this stuff. So Texas does look at least reasonably good. And one thing that does stand out about Singer is that he has had some power issues with lefties. Really weird splits for him since last year. He struck out 28% of left-handed hitters, but he's also allowed a 224 expected ISO and a 357 expected WOBA. So basically when lefties are hitting the ball against him, they're hitting it hard and doing damage, but they're also striking out a lot. He's only striking out 19.5% of righties, but they're doing basically nothing against him. 111 expected ISO, 289 expected WOBA. If you look at the pitches that he primarily throws, he's thrown his sinker 58% of the time to righties, 49% to lefties. That's a pitch that typically when you throw it to same-handed hitters, they pound it into the ground. When you throw it to opposite-handed hitters, they hit it really, really, really far. And so it kind of makes sense why his splits have shook out the way that they have. Getting a lot of swings and misses on his slider to lefties, which is where the strikeouts are coming from. And he's throwing it at a higher rate relative to his sinker to lefties. So That being said, looking at Nathaniel Lowe from the left side is going to stand out. That's the one true left-handed power bat in this lineup. Jonah Heim has some pop left-handed as well. Semien, Garcia, Josh Young, all power hitters also, but from the right side, not nearly as much of a threat against Singer.
Okay, so it's a scumdacker special. You're playing all sides, playing Texas, you're playing Singer in different lineups?
Yeah.
Okay. And then did you say if you have any interest in the Royals?
A little bit, just the top of that order as always. Franmil Reyes is back up to 5th, so that's nice. Bobby Witt's always one of the better shortstop options. Pasquantino lefty isn't ideal, but you get Salvador Perez, you get a lineup bump for Edward Olivares in addition to Franmil Reyes. So I think I actually like Texas's lineup a little bit better than KC. I don't like that Texas's best hitters for the most part are right-handed against Singer, but I do think that even though KC has a slightly higher implied run total, Texas is probably the offense I would get to first.
Okay, so with that in mind, can you rank the 4 sides of this game?
Singer 1, Rangers 2, Royals 3, Perez 4. I think they're all kind of close, though.
Okay. Moving on, we have the Phillies at the White Sox. Taijuan Walker on the mound for the Phillies, Mike Clevenger for the Sox. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
Very low. Mike Clevenger is somebody that I used to really, really like a lot, and he's dealt with some injuries. He's fallen off since the start of last year, not getting strikeouts, 20.7% K percentage to lefties, 17% to righties. Just not a particularly good pitcher. 19% overall, 1.4 home runs per 9, nearly a 5 xFIP, and you don't have the easiest matchup here against the Phillies, so don't really want to get there. I also don't particularly want to get to a $9,900 Taijuan Walker. He is coming off of a start where he did throw 98 pitches. He threw 105 to start before that. So you don't have any pitch count concerns or anything, but it's just still tough to pay that price. I think the biggest case you could make for Walker is that he's projected for 1.5% ownership, 10% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, only a 3% chance of being a top 2 value though. So it's a spot where you could pay up to be contrarian if you want, like if you are stacking the Pirates or stacking the Cardinals and you can find the money for Walker, but it's the salary is problematic there.
Okay. And then what about the bats?
And I guess just to put it into better context, like looking at the DraftKings main slate here, you have Taijuan Walker projected, or we have Taijuan Walker projected for 13.2 DraftKings points. That puts him behind 8 or 9 pitchers that are all cheaper than him, or except for Scherzer is more expensive. So that's kind of the problem is, he could be fine here, but there's a lot of guys that project similarly for cheaper money. As far as the bats go, I am interested in the Phillies. Clevenger not missing a lot of bats anymore and does give up some power. 213 expected ISO to lefties since last year. You certainly have it in this lineup. Bryson Stott leading off is still a solid value. Schwarber looks really good. I like getting to him quite a bit. Obviously, Turner and Castellanos are always fine. Brandon Marsh is okay hitting 5th. Real Muto is okay hitting 6th. So not a favorite stack, but I do have some interest in the Phillies. Not as interested in the White Sox. Walker is a solid enough pitcher, and the White Sox kind of suck.
Fair enough. How would you rank the 4 sides of this one?
Phillies bats, Walker, I guess, even though he's really hard to get to if you can find a way to do it. White Sox bats, Clevenger.
Okay. Do you think you would play any Clevenger in a 150 set?
I'd be pretty surprised.
Okay.
We do have him projected slightly ahead of Walker. Which
we have Clevenger projected better than Walker, but you prefer Walker.
Yeah, I prefer Walker, but they're close. You're just hoping that Clevenger kind of figures out how to put it together. He did a pretty good job his last start limiting damage. He just walked away too many guys.
All right. Next one, interesting one. People have been talking about Thor in chat. So he does look pretty good in the top pitchers tool. Really tough spot. Obviously, we've got the Mets at the Dodgers. We have Max Scherzer on the mound for the Mets. Noah Syndergaard for the Dodgers. Starting with the pitchers, do you think you'd get to any Syndergaard? Tell me about your level of interest in either of these pitchers. Yeah,
I saw somebody in the chat say that I have a hard time deciding between Singer and Thor. These guys are polar opposites for me. I like Singer. I have always hated Thor. But 6,500, like 6% owned, sure, he's twice as likely to be a top 2 pitcher as his ownership. He actually has the second highest top 2 value percentage as well, talking about Syndergaard. So from that standpoint, I understand why you would get to him. He's low owned. He projects as a good value. But that is, again, more a function of there just not being a lot of good pitching on this slate, more so than anything that I could possibly say that's a positive about Syndergaard. He's never been a pitcher that I liked, even when he was actually good. Now he is not particularly good. Doesn't get strikeouts, does get ground balls. So, good at limiting power, but 13.5% strikeout percentage to lefties since last year, 21% to righties, about a 150 expected ISO, give or take, to both sides. Mets not the most appealing lineup to face either. So it's purely a price play if you get the Syndergaard, I think.
Okay. But you don't think that you're obviously, it doesn't sound like you're going to play him in your cash lineup. Do you think you would play him much in a 150 set?
Probably not too much. In cash, it looks like I'm probably going Rogers and Steele. Bats are just cheap enough that that's very easy to do. But in tournaments, if like you're stacking a more expensive team, or maybe like in tournaments, you're trying to let's say you're trying to get, like we talked about Taijuan Walker at low ownership, right?
Yep.
Let's say you're trying to get to him and you're stacking, like the Cardinals or the Pirates or something. Going down to Syndergaard as an SP2 could work in a lineup like that, where it's allowing you to find the money for Taijuan Walker. It's also lowering your pitcher ownership. So, I could see doing it in like a 150 set, something like that, where I'm going to the Cardinals and I go with like Walker, Syndergaard or something instead of, Rogers and Cobb and, whoever else people are playing. But overall, don't particularly like him.
Okay. Yeah. Just in a few lineups, maybe if it works out that you need a pitcher like him, but not somebody you're targeting. What about the bats? Mets, Dodgers, obviously great stacks. But Scherzer facing the Dodgers, maybe the Mets a better stack with Noah Syndergaard on the mound. What's your level of interest in these two stacks?
Yeah, so quickly, just because I didn't actually say it, I do like Scherzer here. I mean, as much as you're going to like a pitcher against the Dodgers, but I like the talent you're getting on a slate that doesn't have very good pitching. He is the most expensive pitcher, but does have the second highest top two pitcher percentage. Ownership is pretty much in line with that. Since the start of last year, 29.7% strikeout percentage is about 3 points higher than Charlie Morton for the highest on the slate. So I do like the upside Scherzer gives you. It's one of those spots where, we talk about it a lot in tournaments where both sides can typically not get as much ownership as maybe they deserve, because from a medium projection standpoint, it's like, oh, well, it's a tough spot for Scherzer and it's a tough spot for the Dodgers. But there's just so many times this game plays out where Max Scherzer has his A stuff and he's unhittable. And then there's other times where he doesn't and the Dodgers light him up. It doesn't always have to be, a middle ground outcome. So I do like Scherzer in tournaments. Don't think I'll get to him in cash on DraftKings. But from a stacking standpoint, I think the Mets look a little bit better against Syndergaard just because he is nowhere near as good a pitcher as Scherzer is, and the Mets lineup is still good. It's not the Dodgers, but it's still good. You have Brandon Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil. These guys are all going to look good, probably hitting 1 through 5. You should have Brett Beatty in the lineup as a cheap value option that has plenty of power. So there is a lot to like from the Mets. Dodgers are more difficult to make a case for, other than they are the Dodgers. They hit the ball really far. Outside of that, like, you're not looking at Scherzer and saying, oh, he's bad at this, or the Dodgers are going to do well for this reason. You're simply looking at it and saying the Dodgers are 1% owned and the Dodgers have a ton of really good hitters.
Yep. That makes sense. I got the question. I won't ask you this one because you're playing cash today, so I don't want to give away your cash lineup, but was asked, Michael Mass asked, what are the top 2 pitchers for cash games? Thanks in advance. So I'm not playing cash. I never play cash, but just eyeing the top pitchers tool. I think it would have to be Justin Steele and Trevor Rogers. I see Jake Swales also says that those are his 2 favorite pitchers today, but yeah, just eyeing the top pitchers tool. My guess is that I would be playing Justin Steele and Trevor Rogers if I were playing cash games.
That is what it's looking like for me also.
Okay. So I didn't want to ask you because I don't want to put you in the spot where like you have to tell people who you're playing in cash when you're going to be competing against them. But yeah.
Also, for somebody said, isn't Thor's fastball velocity up? No, it's actually down. He's averaging 92.2 miles an hour on his fastball this year. Last start, 91.4, was actually over a mile per hour slower than his first 2 starts of the year. So 92.2 overall this year. Last year, he was at 93.8.
Okay. Not getting faster. I am sorry. I keep on having to refresh my fantasy cruncher when I get new teams. All right. How would you rank the 4 sides of this one? Mets and Dodgers.
This is tough. Scherzer 1, Mets 2, Syndergaard 3, Dodgers 4.
Dodgers 4. That makes sense against Max Scherzer. Okay. Coors game up next. We have Pittsburgh at Colorado. Johan Oviedo on the mound for Pittsburgh. Austin Gomber for the Rockies. You playing any pitchers in Coors today?
No, I'm good. I don't think I need to do that.
All right. Perfect. Then we can move right on to the bats. What's your level of interest in the bats in this game?
Pretty high, of course. Not as high as like the last couple of days. You do have worse weather today. It's like 60 degrees, winds blowing in, but it's still cores. You still have an 11-run total here. Both teams have implied run totals between like 5.3 and 5.7. The Pirates lineup just came out. Haven't seen it updated yet. I do know that Hayes is leading off, so you're going to get good value there. Reynolds, yeah, pretty normal lineup here. McCutchen's back in. Connor Joe is hitting, not Isaiah Joe. Connor Joe is hitting fifth. You get the value from Castro and Matthias hitting 6-7. So you're back to a pretty normal lineup here for the Pirates. They're going to look pretty good against Gomber. I think he's a decent pitcher, but he's just another guy that it sucks for him that he ended up on the Rockies, basically. 198 expected ISO to righties since last year, 142 to lefties. Andrew McCutchen, Hayes, Reynolds, these guys all look really good. On the other side against Oviedo, the Rockies bats aren't the best. Oviedo has been pretty good at limiting power in a limited sample since last year. 119 expected ISO to righties, 120 to lefties, but obviously those games aren't all pitching in cores. So that combined with the cheap pricing on the Rockies still makes them look good. I mentioned them a second ago or a little bit ago too. Right now, they're just projected for like 8% ownership on DraftKings, despite having an 8% chance of being the top stack and nearly a 10% chance of being the top value stack. So they're second in top value percentage on DraftKings. They're third in top stack percentage. They're third in ownership, but getting like less than half the ownership of the Pirates, less than half the ownership of the Cardinals. I do think they look good in tournaments, and you're going to be able to build whatever you want around them because Profar's 4,100, Blackman's 45. The only hitter on the Rockies today over 45 or over $4,800 is Bryant at 5,700. Every hitter in the lineup from 5 through 9, with the exception of Tovar, who's 3,300, is sub 3K. So you can build whatever type of lineup you want around this team as well.
Yeah, and they look good in the, maybe you said this, in the top stack tool, just under 8% ownership, 8% chance of being top stack, 9.5% chance of being the top value stack in Coors Field. Definitely interesting there. Can you rank the four sides of this game?
So in terms of like just chances of success, I would say Pirates 1, Rockies 2, Oviedo 3, Gomber 4. In terms of what I actually like and from like a large field tournament standpoint, I would go Rockies ahead of Pirates.
Okay. Yep, that's what I was going to ask what the other alternative would be, but yeah, I mean, lower ownership definitely seems a little bit more interesting. We have a game in Oakland, Cubs at the A's. We have Justin Steele on the mound for the Cubs. I don't think we know the A's pitcher, at least we don't have it in Fantasy Cruncher. It's listed as not known. Unless you know something I don't know. Do you have any interest in Justin Steele or any unknown A's pitcher?
The A's pitcher is some dude they just called up who I forgot his name.
Okay.
Mason Miller.
Is he in the player pool?
He is not on FanDuel. I don't think he is on DraftKings.
All right, let me take a look.
He is not.
Okay, so we don't have to talk about the A's pitcher. I assume you're not going to any like relief pitchers on the A's.
No.
I don't have like an opener.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell? Who is this guy?
Michael Mason.
So he was their third round pick in 2021.
Miller.
Fangraphs has him just outside the top 100 MLB prospects, but he's thrown a combined like 28 professional innings since 2021.
Terry says he's a complete mystery. He says he's pitched 28 innings in his pro career since getting drafted in 21. I guess you just said this. And now he's in the show, but he's filthy, Terry says. So
yeah, I mean, the numbers in his like one start at every level are absurd. Yeah, so he made one start at AA this year, went 3 2/3 innings, 19.6 Ks per 9. One start at AAA, 5 innings, 19.8 Ks per 9. 2 starts last year at AAA, 5 innings, 12.6 Ks per 9. Like insane numbers. I don't know what to do with it, but it's not like you can roster him anyway. I guess from a Cubs standpoint, it is like your like standard just massive like range of outcomes here. You have a pitcher who most likely is very difficult to hit, that we know nothing about, and he's making his major league debut. There's always just added volatility there. The Cubs do only have a 4.1 implied run total. I think that speaks to, one, this guy probably is pretty good, and two, the game's being played in Oakland and at 60 degrees. So don't love the Cubs, but you can always make a case for maybe this guy just shits the bed in his first major league start.
Yeah, for sure. Terry says Cubs lead my home run model, but they also might strike out 12 times. Yeah, that seems to be exactly what would the price tag have to be on this pitcher, Mason Miller? Is that his name? What would the price tag have to be where you would have interest in him on DraftKings?
I mean, I would need him to be in the player pool.
Yeah, I know, but like,
okay,
assuming he's in the player pool.
I mean, on this slate, so like I would have to dig into him more because I don't know. Like, I have no idea how deep this guy can go into a game, but based on the fact he threw 5 innings at AAA, based on the fact that pitching on this slate sucks, if you made this guy $6,500, I would play him over Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah, I think I would too. Yeah, I was thinking I might even go up to like 7,500, like an unknown pitcher. These are the kind of spots that we love to target. Obviously, this is just hypothetical because we cannot play him. He's not in the player pool anywhere. But
I was trying to think of it in terms of like, yeah, I mean, okay, Martin Perez at 7,400. I would, if you tell me I can only play this guy or Perez at 7,400, I would probably play Miller.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I might even be higher. I don't know. High volatility spot, but anyway, we're talking purely hypothetical here because we cannot play Miller. So I mean, you just kind of made the case for playing the Cubs against it because we don't. It might be a high volatility spot. Maybe in his first start he gets rocked. Anything else you want to say about the Cubs or A's bats?
No, I mean the A's we know are bad. Justin Steele's really good also. Kind of got lost in talking about Mason Miller, but
one of
Steele's
the more important pitchers to talk. But
yeah, he's one of the best pitchers on this slate. 24.8% strikeout percentage since last year, just shy of a 3.5 xFIP, 0.65 home runs per 9 in a pitcher's park against a terrible offense. 105 expected ISO to righties since last year, sub 100 to lefties, 29.5% strikeout percentage against lefties, 23.5 against righties. So you do have splits there, but nothing too drastic. You're going to get a right-handed heavy lineup from Oakland most likely, but Steele looks like one of the best, if not the best pitchers on the slate.
Okay. Bean Dude says, I actually think I might have been at his AA start, but was busy eating barbecue nachos to notice if too busy eating barbecue nachos to notice if he was any good. Adam, have you ever been to a minor league baseball game?
Yeah. The Orioles AA team's in my hometown.
Oh, nice. Yeah. We have
I bat boyed for them in high school.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
I think we just got the Cubs lineup actually. As we're talking about this game, probably doesn't affect all that much. Probably looks, I think it looks about as expected. Can you tell me your 4 sides of this game? Rank them.
Steele, Cubs, A's.
Okay. Yeah, we have. I was saying we have the St. Paul Saints here, which was unaffiliated until like a couple of years ago. They finally became the AAA, AA, something for the Twins. So now they are actually an affiliated team. But they always have they bring out pigs between the innings. They do a bunch of weird stuff. It's always a fun time.
It's always fun. Yeah, and it's cool. Like when guys come through. Like I saw Bryce Harper play there when he was at AA for the Nats. When I bat boyed, Andrew McCutchen was on the Pirates AA team.
Wow.
And I remember standing basically right behind him during the national anthem. And I think he's listed 5'9", 5'10". That dude is not 5'9" or
5'10". How tall do you think he is?
5'8".
Okay. Terry says, love Steele here, even at the FanDuel price, which should keep his. Yeah, somebody else had asked about Steele on FanDuel. You okay paying 11.3 for Steele on FanDuel?
I'm okay with it. I'm getting the Rogers more, but still fine.
Okay. And then, sorry, I got distracted again because I keep having to refresh. Did you already rank the 4 sides of this Cubs A's game?
I ranked the 3 of them, yeah.
Okay, yeah, good call. All right. We have the Braves at the Padres. Charlie Morton on the mound for the Braves. Nick Martinez for the Padres. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
Morton's one of the more talented pitchers on the slate. He's also got a brutal matchup. Second highest strikeout percentage behind Scherzer at 27%, 3.75 xFIP. We know that, when he's throwing strikes, he's a good pitcher. 27.5% strikeout percentage to righties, 26.5 to lefties. Does give up some power to lefties with a 182 expected ISO, only 144 to righties. The problem is that the Padres are good, but 8,800 only pulling 11% ownership. So you're getting him at less than half the ownership of Cobb, Steele, Rogers. I get why those guys are more popular because they're not facing the Padres, but I do think it makes Morton an interesting tournament play. On the other side, Nick Martinez, not a great matchup for him either going up against Atlanta, only pulling 5% ownership at 7,300. Not a great strikeout pitcher, but he does typically work deep in the games, throw a lot of pitches. I could see making a case for him where if 20% of the field is going to go to Brady Singer. I think Brady Singer is a better pitcher, and I would rather roster Brady Singer. But if you're going to get 4 or 5 times the ownership going to him, I think you can very easily play Nick Martinez instead as a way to differentiate.
Okay. And then what about the bats in this game?
Yeah, definitely interested in the bats just because both offenses are good. Atlanta projected for 6% ownership, 6% chance of being the top stack. Padres coming in at 2.5% ownership, 3% chance of being the top stack. So both pretty much correctly owned. I mentioned Morton has more issues with left-handed power. Martinez is good at limiting power to both sides. So I don't think either one stands out as a stack that is particularly likely to succeed, and that's backed up by the top stacks tool as well. But they are just both relatively low-owned offenses that have a lot of really good hitters.
Justin asks, Steele or Rogers FanDuel? So say you're playing a single entry. Do you think you would go to
Probably
is one of those? Sorry, say it.
Probably Rogers.
Okay.
I've only built cash there, but that's where I was landing.
Oh, no Seiya Suzuki for the Cubbies. So slight difference there than what we were expecting.
Yeah.
And then can you rank
back? Edwin Rios hitting fifth.
Yep. Can you rank the four sides of the Braves Padres game?
Morton, Braves, Martinez, Padres. They're all super close to me though.
Yeah, and super close in this case. Would you say high level of interest, medium level of, like how
they're all like they're all solid tournament plays because they're pretty low owned. But like if you told me that they were more popular, I would lose interest pretty quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's pretty good. At least Morton's a pretty good pitcher, good offenses. Yeah. Okay. Final game of the slate, and then we can talk about some of our favorite stacks, favorite pitchers, etc. We have the Brewers at the Mariners. We have Eric Lauer on the mound for the Brewers, Marco Gonzalez for the Mariners. Starting with the pitchers, what is your level of interest?
Marco Gonzalez pretty much never, especially when he's 8,100. Eric Lauer at 9,200. Not the easiest sell against Seattle either. I do like that he's only getting 8.5% ownership, 12% chance of being a top two pitcher. Solid park to pitch in. I would throw him into that bucket with like Charlie Morton, where I'm not very confident, but he's not very popular, and it's not like he is leaps and bounds worse than guys that are getting 2 and 3 times the ownership.
Did you just at me in chat and ask me a 1v1 question?
Yeah, because I saw the guy have basically the same 1v1 I did, just with Connor Joe instead of Profar.
That's funny. I was like, I was so confused. I was like, am I reading this wrong? Was this like a sign-in error? Yeah, I would go with Carroll there.
Shit.
Just going with who's higher projected.
Yeah,
for these cash questions.
I was leaning Profar and wanted confirmation.
Did you so do you have Profar projected higher, or do you have other reasoning for liking Profar better?
No, I have Carroll slightly higher, but just more at bats for Profar and
okay. Oh, that's right. You like to break the tie in with batting order.
Yeah. I mean, I have it as like a 0.2 of a fantasy point difference, which in baseball is the same thing.
Almost irrelevant. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for me, when I'm not playing cash and I get that question, I'm just going to give you the higher projected player unless I have like some good reason for the other player. But when you're actually playing cash, you have probably better reasoning there. All right. Did we rank the sides of the final game? No, we did not. We didn't even get to the bats here. I got distracted. I keep on having to refresh. The bats, Milwaukee, Seattle. What's your level of interest in the bats?
Not much. Don't love the park. I think both pitchers are solid enough. You can always get to the right-handed power on Seattle. Rodriguez, goes without saying. Ty France is good. Lauer, since the start of last year, has allowed a 205 actual ISO, 172 expected to righties. So we'll give up some power, 24% strikeout percentage. He's a good pitcher, but not infallible. So Rodriguez, France, Suarez, Hernandez, obviously some dangerous right-handed bats there that can take advantage. On the other side, Gonzalez isn't a particularly good pitcher, but there's not a ton that I like from Milwaukee. Willie Adames, William Contreras would be where I started.
Okay, and then can you rank the four sides?
Lauer 1, Mariners 2, Brewers 3, Gonzalez 4.
Okay, we just got the news that James Outman leading off for the Dodgers, but still it's such a tough spot that it's like even as a leadoff hitter at 3,800 for the Dodgers, like that's as good a spot as you can find for a bat. But like going up against Max Scherzer, still not all that easy. I'm guessing he's not a cash game play for you.
No, he let off the other day too. I think yesterday with Mookie out.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, one of the recent games, definitely. All right, so we made it through all of the games. Adam, let's talk some top stacks. So say you have a 3 entry, you can only play. You have to play 3 different stacks. Who would be your 3 stacks that you go to?
Go Colorado. Mets. Cardinals.
Colorado, Mets, Cardinals. Okay. So Mets is against Noah Syndergaard. Colorado, obviously, in Coors. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the Cardinals going up against Mad Bum.
I have to
Sounds
take
like
the team against Syndergaard and the team against Bumgarner to stay on brand.
that's true. You just like you hate old pitchers. Is that what it comes down to?
So much.
Makes sense.
Just
And then what
years
about
and years of thinking that they're not very good and them somehow still being good, and now finally they're not.
So you never thought that Syndergaard was good?
I thought Syndergaard was a good real life pitcher. I always thought he was a very overrated DFS pitcher.
Oh yeah.
I always thought he should be better at getting strikeouts than he was, and it was just for years, like I think probably 2 straight years, it would be like, oh, Syndergaard's getting a ton of ownership for no reason, and then he would just get every ball hit right at people, and then you would get a slate where like he's not popular, and I'd play him, and he would do what I think he should do and not be good. So, like he was always a good real life pitcher, but I thought that his name value kind of just drove up ownership in DFS, to where like I pretty much never played him and always needed him to have bad games.
Especially with the nickname, like it's a cool name, and he's got the nickname Thor, and he was pretty good pitching in New York. Yeah, he got a little bit too hyped there. Do we have is Mookie Betts in the lineup at all for the Dodgers? I see Terry says he's not playing shortstop.
I haven't seen it updated.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's not in the lineup at all for the Dodgers. Man, do you think Mookie Betts is going to have shortstop eligibility like within the month?
I don't know. I mean, he's been playing second a lot. I don't know how much they'll play him at short.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And top pitchers. So let's go through like your 4 favorite pitchers if you are playing. If you're playing a 3-entry max, what pitchers do you think are going to be in your pool?
Steele, Rogers, Scherzer, Cobb. And then as far as so all 4 of the chalk guys I think are good plays. It just depends on the balance of ownership in your lineup. As far as contrarian guys go, Morton, Syndergaard, Lauer.
Okay, well we will we'll get.
Oh, and I forgot Singer if you need to pay down.
You forgot to say who?
Singer if you need to pay down.
Singer, yeah. Okay. We've gotten through all the games. We'll go through dong picks, and I just realized part of the reason we're ahead of schedule is because I have not yet told first-time users that you can get 50% off any sport platinum weekly or monthly package at Stochastic. You just click the link in the description of this video or use promo code SCORE to get 50% off whatever package you want. It can be any sport. It can be all sports. It can be a week. It can be a month. Whatever you plan on, whatever you want to invest. Obviously, the longer it is, the more sports involved, the better deal you're getting because you get 50% off a higher dollar value. But if you don't want to be spending, all that money, you just want 1 week of baseball, it's pretty cheap. You can get 50% off again using promo code SCORE or using the link in the description of this video. Of course, these are the tools that Adam and I have been referencing throughout the show: the top stacks tool, the top pitchers tool. We haven't really talked about the top batters tool, but if you are hand building, certainly useful as well. I don't use it as much just because I am using an optimizer, but definitely useful and a good way to break ties as well. But I use top pitchers tool, top stacks tool for everything I do in MLB. Highly recommend taking advantage of this offer and getting your 50% off for a weekly or monthly package. Adam, we'll stop early too because we want to give ourselves some time to make lineups. But first, let's we'll answer any questions that you guys have. And Adam, do you have a dong pick lined up yet?
Give me Schwarber.
Kyle Schwarber. Okay. Let me look at this. I didn't. How did your pick do yesterday?
Not good. I went Rutschman, and then like you and I talked about it. Like we've been actually hitting home run picks at a stupid good rate, but like not actually doing anything with it. So yesterday I took Rutschman, and then I bet Rutschman to homer. I bet Mullins to homer. I bet Henderson to homer. Just needed one of them to homer, and I coming out ahead. We got a 1-0 game where nobody hit a home run.
Sad.
Yeah.
Tyler O'Neill from the 6 hole.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, I'll go Tyler O'Neill there. All right. Do we have any questions here? Does anybody have any other questions you want to talk about? When are the O's calling
I'll just
up?
answer this quick Keston Herstad question because it's easier than typing it. I assume he'll be up next year. He's raking at AA, but missed time because of the pandemic and then myocarditis. So kind of behind schedule, still at AA. And then also the Orioles are just loaded, one with actual major league outfielders, but then also with prospects like Colton Cowser's ahead of him at AAA. You have Stowers. So I assume it'll be next year for Herstad, but I guess it could be this year.
Okay. Casso Da Vinci says, man, talk me off Oviedo. I just got a feeling he's going to shut down the Rockies. Yeah, I mean, if you have that feeling, he's going to be pretty low owned.
Yeah, you might be the only one with that feeling.
Right. So, if you really like him, it's hard for me to want to talk you off him at 1% ownership. We do have him 13% chance of being top 2 value, 8.5% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. So he looks pretty good in the top pitchers. So I'm not doing a good job of talking him off of him. The reason not to play him is that he's pitching in Colorado and he's not like some stud.
Yeah, I mean, I think you don't need to be talked off of him. You know all the reasons not to play him. If you still want to play him, like, it's baseball, go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Hard for me to want to talk you off a low end pitcher that you love here. We had some other questions I wanted. Oh yeah, no Sean V today. Didn't even notice that Sean V was not here. Adam, during the basketball show last night, during Live Before Lock, I was talking about we were talking about small forwards. This is not a Sean V. This is a Brandon Cat story. We were talking about small forwards. I was asked, who do you like as far as value small forwards? And I looked at it and I was like, I could make a case for Isaac Okoro because he played 23 minutes in the last game. We have him projected for about 25, and I think that there's volatility in those minutes. He could play even more than 25 minutes. And Brandon Katz replied, Neil should be fired for saying that Okoro could play 30 minutes in this game. And then we had a whole conversation about it. And then Okoro played 3 minutes, picked up 2 fouls, had 2 turnovers, and got pulled for the rest of the game. So, it does not feel good that Isaac Okoro played just 3 minutes after we had a whole conversation about it.
I'm glad that happened because I talked about Okoro at low ownership just because he was low owned and there was volatility, like you were saying. But yeah, I didn't get into Brandon Katz into an argument about it, so it makes me feel better that
So I'm the guy who has a spotlight, like, oh shit. Everybody, and it was just an aside, like it wasn't like a big thing that I was like, I love Okoro today, you gotta play Okoro. It was like, as far as I could talk myself, and I'm probably gonna be above the field on this low owned Okoro, as far as the cheap small forwards. But then because we had the whole conversation about it's like it's gonna stick out, I'm sure, in people's minds.
The entire Isaac Okoro conversation could have just been summed up with he's gonna get open looks from 3, and they would probably like him to play defense better than Chetty does. Maybe he plays more. He didn't.
He did not. Yeah, Stephen Lewis says thoughts and prayers on that. Yeah, exactly. I did not enjoy seeing that. Jake Swell says Matt Olson, my dong pick. I think that's cheating. We can't take Matt Olson, right?
I mean, he's facing who's he facing? Martinez?
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
Martinez in a bad park. That's fair.
I never know where the line is, so I always feel like I pick like kind of middling options. I mean, I guess I picked Buxton yesterday, not exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I typically just try not to take like the most popular hitter on the slate. I try not to take like the best hitter in Coors
Field. Yeah, kind of cheating. All right, we will close up here momentarily. Let me see if we have any other questions here. SP2 to pair with Steele in the 5-game afternoon slate.
Had not gotten that far.
Let's see, the 5-game afternoon slate.
Probably Scherzer.
Yeah. That seems like the obvious answer. You also like Charlie Morton quite a bit, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Or had some interest.
I just know in my top, I just really quickly ran my top projected lineups and it looked like Scherzer and Steele.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? Well, we'll close this up in 3 minutes and give ourselves some time to make some lineups. But if you guys have any other. Yeah, Larry and Katz will take a victory lap. I don't know. Does Katz actually take victory laps? I know that Sean V would absolutely take a victory lap.
I don't know.
I'm not sure if Katz.
Mute him before I read what he says.
That's a good point. You just mute him and you move on. Maybe I should just do that today. Not have to deal with it. But other people are going to remember and bring that up. Sadly, Sean would absolutely take a victory lap. I don't actually know if Katz like remembers the things that he says to himself in chat well enough to take a victory lap. All right. Any other questions? Thank you. Deacon to the legend has been a member for 5 months. As always, good work, guys. Appreciate you, Deacon. Bean Dude, I usually just spin around in my chair. Not sure what you're referring to there.
I'm assuming when Brandon pops up in chat, but I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Schwarber or Julio Rodriguez, last man in?
Both are good, but I'd go Schwarber.
Cobb or Clevenger for FanDuel GPP?
I'm assuming neither one is super popular, in which case I'd go Cobb. Where is he? Cobb, 8% ownership. Clevenger, 1%. Clevenger, 9,900. I'd go Cobb.
Loco says we can always ban cats. Loco really desperately wants to ban cats. He was asking like permission yesterday. Can I please ban him? I don't know. We don't often ban people unless they're, I don't know.
I've said it before. Literally, the only reason that I time him out is it's just so many takes back to back to back that I can't focus on. Like, I just lose focus on the show, and so it's just easier to time him out. But like, I don't actually care. Like,
right, he can have all the bad takes he wants. That's fine. But he uses our name, so it's like it pops out to me in chat. So like I see my name and then I read it, and it's like
and it's always like a paragraph long. So it's just like I'm trying to read what he says, and then like your immediate reactions to answer it, and then you just get sidetracked. And it's just like I'm just gonna make this go away before I even read it.
Yeah, exactly. Jake Swell says cats talks to himself in chat. Yes, he does. All right, I think that we have gotten through everything. Also, Adam, you've been doing Bet Pro videos every day, right?
Yes.
Yeah, make sure you check out Adam's Bet Pro video. Learn how to use the tool. It is a fantastic tool, obviously run by Steve Buzzard, Sean Zahn, Alex Baker, three of the best DFS players of all time. I've been using actually Pick'em Pro, I guess, to do like Noah's Advantage, but it's the same kind of concept. Highly recommend checking out Bet Pro if you have not yet done that, if you're in a legal sports betting state. But we're going to get to it. We're going to start making some lineups, crunching some lineups for these last 10 minutes, guys. But really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Before you leave, please do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. And I think you'll see both Adam and myself again tonight on NBA Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock. So we will catch you later. Thanks again for watching. Good luck today.